Hello there everyone, it's Kathy with Paper Phenomenon. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a storage box using P3 tape. So many of you have been wondering what is P3 tape and how to use it. Well, I'm going to take you through the process on creating this box. P3 tape replaces the paper hinge. If you've ever made a box and you've made paper hinges for construction, P3 tape replaces it. What is it? It's a fabric-based tape. So it's not paper, it's fabric, and it's tape, so it has a very, very strong adhesive on the back. It saves so much time in terms of prepping to create your projects, and it's not paper, it's fabric, so it's much, much more durable than a paper hinge. You can make albums with this. It replaces the cardstock wrap, and you can use a tape for all of your construction-based projects. So let me take you through the process. If you'd love to get your hands on one of these to try it, it's available in my shop, paperphenomenon.com. And I just wanted to say a quick thank you to all of you that have ordered the tape, who've ordered the tape. Thank you so very much. I appreciate your purchases. And if you haven't tried it, give it a try. Watch this video, see the construction, and you'll see how perfect everything comes together. Let's take a look. Hello there everyone. We're going to get started on making the box for the page folios. So you want to take a look at your cutting guide. I'm using the Maker Basics chipboard that you can find in my shop. We've got pieces A, B, and C. So 2 C's and 2 B's. We're using P3 tape for this assembly. Yes, you can use paper hinges. This is an excellent video to show you guys how to use P3 tape in place of paper hinges. All right. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your P3 tape and you're going to cut it down to the following. So the first 2 strips, you're going to cut it down slightly under the length of your chipboard. Okay. The following 2 strips, you're going to cut approximately 1.5 inches larger than the length of your chipboard. So there's the length of your chipboard, 1.5 inches larger. Okay, so you need 2 of those. So let's assemble. So the first thing we're going to do is start off with the right and the left hand side. All right, so this is a perfect square here. So no need to know what's the top, the bottom, the side. It's a perfect square. So you're going to remove the tape backing from the P3 tape. If you were using paper hinges, you would cut your paper hinges exactly to this size, for the exception that for this top piece here, you would have to join 2 pieces of cardstock to get that length. With P3 tape, you don't have to, right? So you want to rest the chipboard or stick the chipboard down to the P3 tape midway, right? Midway, and it doesn't have to be perfect. If it's not perfectly midway, no biggie. All right, see, mine is not perfect. It's a little wider at the bottom than it is the top. All right, so this is 1.5 inches wide, so you have plenty of wiggle room. All right, so again, midway, right underneath that chipboard, and stick it down. Then you want to grab, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so you can see a little more. Right there, perfect. Now, right here, what you want to do is, again, stick the chipboard onto the tape midway, and you want to center it across tape to tape, okay? P3 tape is a fabric-based tape that has adhesive on it, which is why it's called a tape, right? It's a great adhesive. It's very sticky. It works beautifully for our paper projects, boxes, mini album covers, anywhere you would use a paper hinge, okay? It is fabric-based, which is really, really nice. It has a beautiful finish to it, and it just makes everything look beautiful. Whatever you would use this for, it's got a gorgeous, gorgeous finish. And it's not paper, guys, so it's so much more durable, right? So go right under. I love that my chipboard is just slightly warped because it allows me to do this. just to slip my tape underneath. It's making my job a lot easier. Okay, once we get the sides on the boxes, chipboard will be nice and flat. All right, guys, so for this chipboard, we've got our B and C pieces. All right, you want to take your B pieces. I like to use glue for this. I normally use glue. I normally do not put my tape around like this. I normally just glue my sides on, and then once it's completely dry, I finish the box with the P3 tape. That's just my preference on how to assemble. However, this is a big box, so gluing my pieces down, it's probably going to give me a headache, right? It's not going to want to do what I want it to do exactly. So what I decided to do is to use the P3 tape first, kind of hold everything in place during the construction process. So what you want to make sure is that these B pieces are exactly the size of your chipboard. Okay, exactly. Prince. And what you want to do is you want to place it on top of your A piece, right up against the edge. All right, so I'm going to turn it this way so I can see, because again, it's quite long, so it's a bit unruly. Right up against the edge, right before you put the glue. And if you got to shape it a little bit so it can do what you want it to do, please do so. And you want to lift the tape onto the side panel. You want to pull and stick nice and tight. Pull and stick. Make sure it's right on the edge. Pull and stick. Pull and stick. Okay? Secure it nice and tight. Right on the edge. Like that. And you've got your first side panel attached. It's going to kind of fall to the side. Don't worry. Do not worry. Okay, now you're going to do the same thing for the next side. Remember, it's your B piece. I'm going to flip this over. Do the same thing again. Right on top of A, lining it up with the very edge. Right at the edge. And once you get your placement, then you're going to lift the tape up to the side panel and you're going to stick it. Right there. All right. So it takes a little bit of practice to make it look as easy as I'm making it look right now. I know you guys tell me I always make everything look so easy. I've been doing this for a long time, guys, so I've got a little bit of practice. And if you watch my videos, I screw up all the time. All the time. All right, so just make sure that your chipboard, I like to say, your side panels hop on top of A, right? That's really important. And that's not going to happen until you get the other side on, okay? Because right now it's just wanting to do whatever it wants to do. So before we put the top and the bottom on, I'd like you to cut, all right? I'd like you to make a cut. Let me think right here very quickly. Yes. So right along the edge of your A chipboard. Okay, not in the middle where the gusset is, right on along the edge of A. All right, so you're releasing the tape. You're creating individual sections of tape now. All right, so right along the edge of A. So here's A, so I'm cutting right along that edge. So now when you lift it, your tape is separated. All right, so now for C. You're going to line it up. C is shorter than your B pieces because it's going to be right on top of A, right? And it's going to fit right in between your two B pieces. See that? Right in between the two B pieces. So you want to kind of place it just like that. All right. And then just to secure it perfectly in place, you're going to take that little bit of, whoopsie, that little tab right here that we just released, and you're going to secure it nice and tight. Okay, nice and tight, guys. And you're going to see, just hold on a minute because I want it to be perfect. Take that side panel and secure it. You'll see that it'll fit perfectly. And I'm going to bring it up in just a minute to show you. Okay, so your side panels are resting on top of A. You have just secured the sides just like that. See that? Just like that, guys. Perfectly. Leave it alone. Don't do anything to it. Don't lift this bottom part up right here. So cutting this little side here, when we released it, it's going to give you a teeny, it may give you a teeny bit of overhang. If it gives you a little bit of overhang, it's actually not much, so I think you're fine. Just stick it down nice and neat onto the box. You don't have to cut it. The tape is so thin that you don't have to cut it. Now this is a paper hinge. You would probably have to cut that excess tape. All right, it's what would be a little bit of overhang, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now on this side. I just wanted to show you that with the P3 tape, you don't have to. So when you cut right along this edge here, you're going to see that the tape kind of folds under, right? So what you want to do is just create a teeny tiny little wedge. All right, that's for cardstock users, okay? I'm going to be a little annoyed right now because I don't have to do this with P3 tape because it's thin. Right, so for cardstock users, you have to remove this teeny bit that you see right here. See that? I'm not going to do it to the other side because I'm using P3 tape. All right, so just remove that because you can't, with cardstock, it's so thick, you can't have all of those layers. All right, it creates bulk. All right, so now let's do our second one. So now you know exactly where it goes. Make sure your chipboard is right on top, right? Your side panels are right on top. Don't worry, we're going to apply glue to this. It will all be perfect. Right now you're working on aligning your pieces and the construction. Right, so right on top, and these side pieces will secure it in place. It's always easier to have a tool handy with you instead of your fingers, because your fingers tend to stick to the tape, and then when you pull your finger off, it just kind of discombobulates everything. So your scissors, anything with a nice pointy edge. I also like to use my bone folder. So whatever works for you guys, you can use instead of your fingers all the time. All right, so we've got this done. It's looking pretty good. All right. At this point, I want you to, excuse me, to cut four more pieces of P3 tape about just about 1/4 of an inch shorter than the side panel. All right, you need 4 of them. See, so one, about 1/4 of an inch shorter. And the reason why I'm not giving you a measurement, not even in your cutting guide, is because this applies to every box. So the next step is cutting 4 more pieces of P3 tape 1/4 of an inch smaller than the height of your side panel. Okay? It applies to any box, whether it's Paper Phenomenon box, your own box, any box, using P3 tape or cardstock for construction. So now what you're doing is you're just going to apply this, and I'm going to show you in a minute. Give me a second. Let me put one down. So this is just to add more stability to your box. All right, so you're going to apply this around the edge right here. Right, and it's just going to secure those side panels even more. Note, please understand that your box is going to be super wobbly right now. It's not until you apply glue that your box, it becomes super sturdy. All right. All right, so the next side, so what you're doing is essentially taking your piece. This would be a paper hinge if it was cardstock, right? It would be scored down the middle. So what I want you to make sure is that your pieces of chipboard are lined up exactly where they need to be, right? So what we're looking at is this side is like this, and then this side is like this, all right? Not on top, but lined up with the edge, okay? That's it. So this just gives it more stability. See how it sticks to my finger? So I'm going to bring it down because it's easier for me to look at like this. And you want to make sure that all your pieces are on top of A, okay? On top. And you're going to do that with all 4 sides. How easy is that, guys? So easy. And once you make these boxes, you're going to go through this like 1, 2, 3. Right now I'm giving you instructions, so you know it takes a little bit longer. But once you know how to make a box, 1, 2, 3, guys, I promise. Easy peasy. All right. And I should have one more side. Yep, here we go. One more side, making sure my chipboard is on top of A, right? And that my pieces are lined up perfectly. And securing the tape. Done. Done, done, done. Done, done, done. Now, you want to make sure that, again, your C is on top of A. And then it's nice and straight, right? And now you're going to lift the remaining side tight, 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 tight. Pull and stick, pull and stick. Pulling and sticking. Very important technique here. Pulling and sticking. All right? Pulling and sticking. That way your P3 tape or your cardstock is perfectly against that edge. You got that sharp edge, guys. Sharp edge. One more time. So pulling, support your chipboard on top, pulling and sticking, pulling and sticking. Make sure your chipboard, your side panel is on top of A. Make sure your side panel, in this case is my C, is right up against the edge of A, but on top of A. All right, my friends, you've got yourself a box. Now what you want to do is the following. Burnish, see, I'm burnishing all my sides. Everything should be perfectly aligned. Now what you want to do is grab your glue, okay? And you want to hit it with glue, nice and neat. You don't have to be sloppy about this, but a nice amount of glue. And just kind of seal everything in place, right? And this is going to give your box so much sturdiness and stability. At this point, because you've wrapped all the sides nice and sturdy, then everything should be great, right? You shouldn't have any wobbliness. So when you add the glue, well, let's get these 4 sides done. Okay, right here. Now, when you add your glue right here, right in here, what you want to look for is that your chipboard is exactly where it needs to be, right? See, this side is wanting to be its own boss. Can't let that happen. So I'm going to add my glue to the side panel, and I'm going to make sure that it stays in place right there, and I'm going to support it just for a few seconds until that glue dries. You want to remove any excess glue, right? You don't want any excess glue. So right here, I'm holding it, cleaning off any excess glue. I also like to go in here and clean off any excess glue. Here I have none. I did really good, nice and tidy. Here I'm nice and tidy, nice and tidy. It's a good refresher course on making boxes. All right, So you want to do that to all 4 sides. Just make sure that your side panels are exactly where they need to be. All right. And hold them in place if you need to. That's it. So this is, I forget what I'm doing here. So these go in, right? Yep, in. So I hold it nice and steady. And I like to put glue on the top as well, right over the top. But I do the top once I know that my alignment is good. Because once you put the glue over the top, you can't see your alignment anymore. Kind of seals it. All right, there you go. And then this one is being unruly. Don't like you. Don't like that. So I just like to make sure it does what I want it to do. That's it. And this side is still looking perfect. I'm a happy girl. And usually when you're working with larger pieces is when you have to go in and kind of make it do what you want it to do. When you're working with smaller pieces, so much easier. But with larger pieces, you really don't want to assume that your chipboard is resting where you want it to rest. Okay, you want to inspect it. Right? Because you fix this side, then this side shifts, and then this side shifts again. So take your time with your placement, okay? Just take your time, guys. Notice how I am taking my time here with this project. No rush. And guess what you're going to do now? You're going to let this dry. You will be able to move on in this particular project to your lid because your lid is done exactly the same way. We still have to cover up the raw edges of chipboard here, but we're going to do that once the glue is nice and dry. All right? So feel free to move on to the lid and look at your cutting guide. The pieces are exactly the same. It's just the side panels are they're shorter. All right, because it's the lid. All right, I'll see, or you can wait till the next video and watch me make it with you. All right, I'll see you in the next one. All right, so for our lid, we've got pieces D, E, and F. Exactly the same assembly, except that the side panels are shorter, okay? But same 2 pieces, 1/4 of an inch shorter, same 2 pieces, 1.5 inches longer. All right, so I'm gonna speed up this assembly and take you through the process. Alright guys, so I wanted to stop right here very quickly because I want you to see that the P3 tape goes over the edge, right? See that? And your paper hinge would as well because this is such a shallow side panel. Okay, that's perfectly okay. You could do one of 2 things. You can cut the overhang off because we are going to wrap the top of this. Alright, so you could just both with P3 tape and with cardstock. All right, cut that off, easy peasy. I didn't stick this on tight enough, which annoys me, so I will have to redo that. And you do not need the extra small pieces for the 4 additional small pieces for the sides because the tape is wide enough that it covers it up. Okay, so I say cut the overhang off like so. And done. So if you're making a box where you don't have instruction, where you're doing it yourself, you just use your you make your own decisions based on logic, okay? On what's logical. And in this case, there's no point in putting tape right over this side panel here because it's covered already, okay? So that would be how you come to your decision. All right, and I'm just inspecting my sides, making sure everything is where it needs to be, right? Because that's where it should be. And EF goes on the inside. Yes, perfect. So that is perfect, 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 perfect. Everything is perfect. All right, so now I'm going to lift my side panels up, and I'm going to make sure that everything is lined up where it needs to be. So you want your F pieces to be right on top of D in this case. Perfect. Looking good. Everything to be right on top. On top, on top, on top. That's already lifted, my bad. That's perfect. I was like, well, that was perfect. Normally I have to make adjustments. It was already done. And you want to pull and stick, right? Because you want to get a nice tight wrap, whether it's cardstock or P3 tape. You want a nice tight wrap, guys. That's what you're going for. Now, see this lid here? If you want to get fancy, you could pop a window in here. But I'm making a very simple box for you guys, so I didn't pop a window in here. But you absolutely can pop a window in here, okay? You can even do it right now if you wanted to. You want to do it right now and show you how you can pop a window after the fact if you want to, after the fact? Well, all you need is, let's say if you want your window to be this big, right? This is 2.5 inches. That'll give us a really small window. We don't want that. I want my window to be 1.5 inches wide. You can even use your ruler if you want to. All right. If your ruler fits in here, you can do it, and it should fit. I'm just going to cut a little piece off so it can make my life easier. So you can get a piece of cardstock. Whoopsie. Draw your frame. See that? And just cut it out, even after the fact. All right, as long as you can cut nice and straight and comfortable, go for it. It's never too late, right? Well, sometimes it's too late, but in this case, it's not too late. And if your ruler does not fit in there, then you get something that fits. All right, this fits. So I'm going to use this as my cutting guide, right, as opposed to my ruler. If you have a thinner ruler, use a thinner ruler. Right, what you have to do, there's a bit of an extra step when you cut a window, right? You got to cover the raw edges of the chipboard with cardstock, or in this case, P3 tape. So it's taking me, I'm going nice and slow and easy to get through this chipboard. So, you know, it's going to take me a few more additional tries, passes of the knife, but I'm okay with that. I'm not in any rush. So I will speed this up. Okay. And just like that, we've got ourselves a lid with a window. So now we need some acetate, right? So this is where you want to pick your acetate. I sell two types of acetate in my shop. I sell a thicker one, which is the 0.020, and I sell a thinner one, which is 0.007. For boxes, those two are interchangeable. You can use a thicker one or you can use a thinner one. However, for pages, they are not interchangeable. You cannot use the thicker one for pages. You can only use the thin one for pages. But in this case, if you have a thin piece of acetate, feel free to use it here because you can. So let's grab some acetate. So here's our lid. I went ahead and did the same thing and added the glue around the perimeter in the side panels as well. As you can see the shininess of the glue. It's nice and dry. And I just wanted to show you the box and lid. All right, so this lid, we cut this frame out so we can attach some acetate and have a lovely acetate window. All right, so this is the acetate in my shop that is 0.020. So it's a lot thicker than the 0.007. And that's this one right here. All right, so look at the difference. So this one has a film, a protective coating. Right, so when you get this, make sure that you take the protective film off. Both sides. It has it on both sides. So don't forget, because you're going to be annoyed with yourself if you don't. But take it from me, I've done it. I've done it. It's very annoying when I do stuff like that. All right. So once you take the protective coating off, you can see how beautifully clear it is. See that? So super thick. This is about 4 or 5 times the thickness of this. So see why it's not interchangeable with pages? You can't use this on a page. You can use that on a cover, but not a page. This, you can absolutely use it on this box, but this one is not interchangeable. All right, my friends. So that's the difference between the two pieces of acetate. But before you put the acetate down, what you want to do is you want to cover the raw edges of the chipboard here. So what you want to do is take P3 tape or paper hinges. So you're going to need 4 pieces. And you want to be actually the size of the side you're attaching it to. All right. You actually don't. It can be a little bit longer. All right. So you want to do 4 pieces. So do it a little bit longer, like about an inch longer, right? So that you can straddle the side by a 1/2 inch. And I'll show you what that is. So 4 of these. And of course you would bypass all of this if you're not doing a window. If you just want to feature the gorgeous pattern paper on the top of the box. But I gotta say, I like a window, guys. I like a window. So, because this P3 tape is so thin, you can overlap it. All right? So you want to place it over the box midway. Right? And how do you know that? See that? Other side. Right here. And you don't have to finish it like this. I'm just doing it because I can. Right? Right here. And then over here. So now on this side, and I am overlapping. Just makes for just such an easy construction when using P3 tape. You don't have to do any prepping. You don't have to worry about overlapping. None of that. All right, so I like to use my Teflon bone folder. I get this at bonefolder.com. They have so many good bone folders there. all kinds. So I just use my bone folder so that I don't have to deal with the stickiness, right? So right into that corner, you're going to cut on an angle out to from chipboard corner to tape corner. Chipboard corner to the tape corner, like so. And then you release all 4 sections, and now you're going to want to pull and stick, guys. Pull and stick. That's the technique here. Nice and tight over the edge of the raw chipboard. It's easy peasy. Pulling and sticking. And you want to do this when the glue has dried, okay? Right there. So this is the only extra step that you have to take when you're doing a acetate window. And you can make this window as wide or as narrow as you want. Okay, I do not recommend going anything thinner than a 1/2 inch window. See here, I got 1.5 inches, no less than a 1/2 inch. You want to leave a nice amount of border to use some pretty pattern paper, right? Right. Another thing I like to do very quickly before I add my acetate is I like to color in this corner here. And you want to mat beforehand. But even when you mat, you want to make sure that these corners are nice and colored in, so when you mat, you don't see the chipboard. So you can mat before or after you apply the acetate, okay? Before or after, really doesn't matter. All right, so I'm not gonna put my acetate yet. I'm going to cover up the raw edges from the box on both sides of the box, okay? So what you need is P3 tape, and I have a couple of used rolls, don't ask me why. You're gonna take a length of P3 tape and wrap it around, right? All the way around, all the way around. And you wanna overlap by 1 inch. No more than 1 inch, guys. And then cut. For this side, you can easily get away with cutting this in half. But I'm not going to do that. I use the whole thing. All right, so get a second one for the other side of the box. So again, do you see how easy this is as opposed to dealing with paper hinges? My gosh, it's just so much easier. Right, so now we are going to wrap around the box and cover up this raw edge of the chipboard. All right, so it's really simple, guys. I am going to remove just a teeny bit of this because I don't want to have to deal with overhang. So I'm going to remove about 1/4 inch. And believe me, this will not go to waste. You will find a use for this. You will absolutely find a use for this. So go ahead and cut off about 1/4 inch. You don't have to do it to both, just to one. If you cut it right down the middle, you can use one for both sides, but I don't want to do that. Okay. Almost done. The fact that the adhesive is on here already is just such a game changer. Such a game changer. All right, so that's going in the drawer because I like to, I save those pieces. Okay, so now I'm going to remove the tape backing. Not completely, because I'm terrible at managing my tape. You know, it'll stick to my work surface, all sorts of nonsense. So now what you want to do is you want to stick this down so that it's midway. All right, midway. You don't want to go over the edge, of course, right there. And you just want to wrap it all the way around the box. When you go around the bend, don't go too tight. You want to be snug, but not tight. If you go tight, you're going to change the measurement of your lid. All right, you're going to make the inside of the lid too tight, where it's not going to go fit around your box. And I'll show you exactly what I mean in just a minute. Okay, so I'm just placing it. Just like so. And you want to overlap by that 1 inch right there. Okay, so you just want to wrap it around without going too snug. If you make it too tight, the lid is going to bow in like this. Okay, right here in this open area. You don't want that because it won't fit over your box. So be careful about the tension of the P3 tape or the cardstock hinge when you are wrapping something that an open end. Let's say if you were wrapping this side here, this bottom that has this protection here that can't change the measurement, then you don't have to worry about how tight you're wrapping. But if you're wrapping an open end, yes, you have to worry. So now what you want to do is you're going to create what I call is a channel. Okay, I call it a channel, but it's just 2 cuts, guys. So you have this side and you have this side. So you're going to cut right on the edge of the chipboard on this side, and then you're going to turn it, and then you're going to cut right along the edge on the chipboard on this side. And what that's going to do is going to create what I call a channel, and it's about 1/8 of an inch cut. Let me just get it up there so you can see it. See that? Just like that. And what you're going to do with that little piece is you're going to stick it into the connection point where the 2 pieces of chipboard meet. You're going to pull it to the inside. See that? Yeah, you can see that. And then stick it right where the 2 pieces of chipboard meet. So a little bit of the tape goes to this side, a little bit goes to that side. See that right there? Just perfect. And burnish it. Burnish it into place. Now you're going to make a channel on all 4 sides. Okay, and do one at a time, because sometimes, because this is so thin here, it'll stick to the sides and then you'll lose it. So you want to pull snug enough, but you don't want to pull so much that you tear it off. You definitely can do this with cardstock. The only thing with cardstock is be careful how hard you pull to the inside, because it will rip off. I've done it a few times. No fun. All right, so pull and stick it right there in the connection point. So right where the 2 pieces of chipboard meet, you're going to stick it right in there. Okay? All right, Robert Lopez, hold on. Okay. My baby. He's sending me all sorts of pictures. All right, and right here. See that? So just stick it, pull and stick. And then you're going to take each side and you're going to stick it to the inside. Rub, pull, and burnish against the edge. Pull and stick to the inside. See that? Look at how pretty. So pulling and burnishing along the edge. Then you stick it to the inside. That way you get a nice tight wrap against the edge of the box. Like so. Okay, just like that. Easy peasy, guys. And you don't have to worry about the tape being super even because you're going to cover the inside with pattern paper. And so burnish, burnish, burnish. Pretty please. Like so. And now you're going to do the same exact thing to the inside, to the other side of the box. Same thing. Okay, I already got my length. I'm going to pull my tape backing off. I'm going to start on one side, in the middle, midway, and wrap my box. Careful not to go too tight. Too tight is not good. Okay, and see, have this been my paper surface that I normally work on? Whoosh. I haven't been working on my paper surface because the paper that I normally order has been out of stock. So I'm waiting for it. All right, now we're going to create our channels. All right, easy peasy. So cutting to the left and the right hand side of the connection point and creating the channel. Look at that. Pulling and sticking right in the connection point. It's easy when you have fingernails, otherwise use your bone folder. And then here. So your channel should be about 1/8 of an inch, a little bit wider, but just not too much. With cardstock, when you're using the P3 tape, it's so pliable that if you have 1/4 of an inch channel, it's no problem. But with cardstock, it becomes a problem if it's too thick. So be careful. P3 tape, guys, I promise you, you're gonna love it. Once you try it, it's a game changer. You will love it. You will love it. All right, done. All channels in place. Sounds like I'm about to take off. Pull and rub against the edge of the box. Then stick it to the inside. All right. When I used to make boxes back in the day, I used to put a paper hinge, line the box with a paper hinge all the way around. I don't do that anymore because I find the box to be just as sturdy without it. And my pattern paper, I just cut it pretty close to the size of the box and it just goes from end to end and you don't see the chipboard. Or I paint it, or I color it in with a Sharpie, and I'll show you that in a minute. My Sharpie is a little dry though. All right, so we'll see how well it does. All right, so now you have your lid and the bottom of the box, okay? And it's pretty perfect, guys. Pretty perfect if you ask me. So you're probably wondering, how is Kathy going to get this lid to stay on here, right? That's where the inside wrap comes into play. All right, so in the next video, we're going to tackle the inside wrap. So I've got my pieces G and H. This is for the inside wrap, and this is cut from chipboard. I cut 4 pieces of P3 tape, just slightly shorter than the height of my chipboard pieces. And you would do the same thing for cardstock. Your cardstock would be like this, right? Scored down the middle. Your P3 tape, you just got to cut it, guys. It already has the adhesive on the back. So let's go ahead and assemble this inside wrap. This is not optional for this style of box. You have to make the inside wrap in order for the lid to work. Okay, so you want to remove the tape backing and you're going to attach it. I'm starting with H, but you can start with G if you want to. All right, so starting with H, then you're going to alternate G's and H's until you've got them all attached. So H, now G. You don't want to leave any space, okay? You want to butt it up really close right next to the neighboring piece. So we have G, now we're gonna go with H again. So removing the tape backing from the P3 tape, lining it up, and there. Now we're gonna go with H again. And then one more G. No space, my friends, no space. Okay, and this is my last one. So remember, your letters should be alternating. Nice and lined up beautifully. Go ahead and add that last piece of tape to the end of G. In my case is G. It could be H if you alternate it in the other way. So now flip it over so that you can see the tape. Fold one side, fold the other side. You want to stick it down. Again, no space in between. Make sure you get a good stick. See that? Done. Inside wrap is done. We do need to cover the raw edge, however. So you want to fit it on for size. It's going to be a little bit snug, I would say, not necessarily tight. All right. And there is a right and wrong way, guys, for this. So if one side is just too ridiculously snug, then you flip it. Flip your box. One more time. One more time. There we go. So much better. Okay. So you're going to get some bowing. That's supposed to happen. All right. We're going to take care of that in just a minute. So it'll bow out a little bit. All right. Just a little bit. So now what you want to do is you're going to grab your P3 tape and you're going to grab a length all the way around. Get over here, P3 tape, all the way around. And you want to do just a little overlap, okay? About, I always say an inch because it's just, that's an easy measurement. But if it's under an inch is fine, just overlap it, okay? Now, what you want to do is you're gonna wrap this, right, without any tension, okay? So just be careful. So just like we did with the box, midway, right? This one's just a little trickier because it's a bit unruly, right? No tension, guys. So just wrap it. Nice wrap. You want it to be perfectly attached, but you don't want it tight, okay? Get over here. Wrap it around. Right there. See that? And then come on this side and stick it together. See? Just like that. And guess what? We're going to create channels. And then we're going to stick everything into place. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and create my channels. You want to cut to the left and the right hand side of each of the chipboard pieces. Create your little channel. There it is. And you're going to stick it right in the connection point. Alright, you're going to pull slightly, right? And you're going to stick it. Not too much, because you'll see that there's a void there. There's the channel. I'm grabbing it. Where'd it go? Oh, it's like I can't even see it. There it is. Pull. Stick it right in there. Next one. And again, I do one at a time because I find that they want to stick together onto, you know, stick to the neighboring piece, and I really don't want to deal with that. And last piece. Last piece. Stick it in there. Done. Easy peasy. Now guess what? We're going to fold this excess over and onto the chipboard. So you're burnishing, then you're pulling and sticking, right? So you're pulling, burnishing, pulling, burnishing, pulling, burnishing, pulling and burnishing. And then you're just wrapping it to the inside. I use my fingers to kind of just make it nice and taut. Not tight, but taut. Okay, just wrap it to the inside. Easy peasy. Right in there, right in there. And let's burnish it. I have quite a few kinks over here. I don't know what I did here. Ah, they're out. Alright, so now what you're going to do is you're going to grab your box. Sorry about that little hiccup in the video. So you want to, remember there's a right and wrong way, right? So you want to find the right way, and it's the you'll know because it's going to go in a lot easier, right? See how much easier that was? Okay. And you're going to, you can remove it or you can put your glue like this, all right? Either way, it's up to you. Sometimes I remove it, sometimes I just put my glue. It's easier to just, I'm going to do it like this. You can put it on the actual, it's easier to get it right on the actual chipboard piece. Go below the tape. All right, so get that glue on there, see that? And just stick it. You may have to hold it for a few minutes. You can put a clip of some sort if you want to. In the past, I have been known to paper clip this. And make sure that it's all the way down. All right, don't be afraid to smack it in there. Got a little too much, got glue happy there. And just hold it into place until it doesn't bow out anymore. It's important for it to be nice and tight, you know, for you to get a really good fit in there. Otherwise, no good, my friends, no good. Just make sure it's all the way down. And it'll dry in no time. Whoopsie, whoopsie, whoopsie. What's happening here? What's happening, glue? Glue is trying to give me a hard time. All right, and you're gonna let it dry, okay? And we are done with our box. We're done with our box. Isn't that fabulous? Look at what a great looking, oh, lots of glue there. Glue is a problem because if you put your lid on right now, it'll glue shut. We don't want that. So be careful. I don't know how I managed to do that when there's so much space for me to put my glue right on that side panel, but I just managed to get it high enough to screw it up. All right, so now when you put your lid on, okay, there's a right and wrong way, and your pattern paper will tell you. Right, once you put your pattern paper down, you'll know. You know which is the right and which is the wrong way. And there's your lid, guys. Look at how perfectly your lid will not fall off. Okay, it will not. And there it is. Okay, so when we're putting our pattern paper down, be careful because this will unglue. It's not completely dry yet. We have to make sure that we're putting it in the right direction. Okay, because otherwise we'll get it wrong. So I haven't decided which one I'm going to put in here, but I'm just going to put this one on for you guys. Put this one in here. But as you can see, you can easily get it out. There's plenty of space in there for your, and I made it deep enough that you can put maybe an insert if you want to in here, a card if you wanted to include a greeting card of some sort, you can still do it. If you want to put a a ribbon under here that you can pull it out as opposed to doing this, you can. All right, that's entirely up to you. Up to you, my friends. So what we're gonna do now is put the acetate on here. All right on here, and I'm going with the thicker stuff rather than the thinner stuff. And you can get this on my website, but please feel free to use the thin stuff too. It works. It absolutely works. All right, so you want to cut this just slightly under, and I'll put the measurement for this acetate. I didn't put it in the cutting guide, and I already uploaded, but it's cut it just you can go a 1/2 inch shorter if you want to. It's fine, it will work. So 11.5 by 11.5 will be just fine. Careful not to get glue marks all over it. All right, so I cut mine 11.5 by 11.5. And you are just going to put tape on it and you're going to stick it down. Now, you want to be sure that, don't forget, color these corners in because it will show as unfinished if you don't once you put your pattern paper down. Okay, so be careful. So grab your tape, and I do 3/8 inch tape just around the perimeter for this, and just stick it down. Once you put your pattern paper, you won't see any of the mechanism. All you see is beautiful pattern paper. And I really have to think about what pattern paper I'm going to use here. I do not know. So I'm going to go over the measurements for pattern paper using just a plain piece of white paper, so you have that measurement. Because I have 4 folios that I can give as gifts. I am giving the birthday one as a gift, but I don't know if I'm doing a storage box with it. So, tricky, guys. Tricky, tricky, tricky. I do not know. All right, so there's that. And now you burnish. You burnish it on. And you've got yourself a gorgeous window box for your page folio. How fantastic is that? There it is, my friends. There it is. Oh, I got it right on the first try, I believe. Yep. There is your window box. So this is how you make a box with P3 tape. Easy peasy, right? So much easier than paper hinges. Are paper hinges still great? Absolutely. But you don't need it if you pick up a roll of P3 tape. All right, guys. So there's the box, and your matting. Let me show you your matting now in this video. This video is short enough. All right, so I cut my pattern paper down to size, and let's pretend it doesn't matter which way you put the box, right? Doesn't matter. When it matters is when you cut your pattern paper, all right? You can put the folio in here however you want, but when you cut your pattern paper, there is a north-south, and there's a east and west, okay? And I'm going to explain to you why. Remember when we had that one smaller piece? We have a smaller piece in our side panel. When you put the box together, you know exactly what it is. So that changes the size of the box by 1/8 of an inch, all right? So one side is 1/8 of an inch smaller. So you decide if you want the 12 inch on northwest, north-south, or the 11 7/8 of an inch going north-south. It depends. That's it. And that's how you cut your pattern paper. All right. So I've got my 12. It's going 12 inches, 12 inches, 11 7/8, 11 7/8. All right. So that's how I cut my paper. My paper is cut to 11 3/4 inches this way by 11 5/8 of an inch. So this is going to be my top and my bottom. All right. And why does that matter? Because if you have pattern paper, your top and your bottom matters, right? So now that we know that, we know how to place our box, okay? Oh, and of course my A is upside down. So I know that my box like this with the A, all right? So here we go. So all you have to do is draw a frame at 1 1/4 inches all the way around, and you cut it out. So your paper, your pattern paper is cut at 11 3/4 of an inch by 11 5/8 of an inch. Okay, your frame is at 1 1/4 inches, and that's for the outside and the inside. The outside of the lid and the inside of the lid. Now you cut it out. And you can't really tell the difference in the measure, the 1/8 of an inch difference in the box by looking at it, but if you measure it, you'll see it. Okay? You will see it. There we go. All right, and there is your pattern paper. All right, so when you mat, watch, you'll see this clearly, guys. See, when it's properly on the box, you see that 1/8 of an inch all the way around. If you put it just slightly off, you will see, watch, hold on. You see 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch here, and you see a little bit more here, a little bit more here. And you see this doesn't line up here, right? It's wider here. There's more than an 1/8 of an inch there, more than an 1/8 of an inch there. Watch this side right here, because this seems to be the best with the glare. When you have it exactly right, there you go. 1/8 of an inch all the way around on the outside. All right, so just remember, now if you want your box like this where it's 11 7/8 of an inch from top to bottom, and the 12 by 12 is from left to right, that's fine too. The album will fit. It's just the pattern paper. And this may not matter to you, right? But it'll drive me nuts, right? And if I can help it, I will make sure I attach it properly, right? So that's it, guys. So that's your pattern paper. For your side panels, just like matting, just cut it 1/4 of an inch smaller and go for it. All right, so there is your bonus storage box. If I actually use a storage box for one of these folios, I will show you my matting, but right now, you don't need that for the purposes of this video. All right, I'm just not sure if I'm actually going to use this storage box for any of those folios. All right, I'll see you in the next video. This is Kathy with Paper Phenomenon, and until next time,